Most people don't know what's holding them back, but you do because you listen to me, Sam, your self-care guru and journal junkie. Welcome to Journal Entries, your safe place where you can tune in weekly to get tips, tricks, and journal prompts to uncover your feelings, gain clarity, and make your move. Hello, friends. Welcome to Journal Entries. I am really pushing my luck right now because it is Sunday when I am recording this, and I usually have my episodes uploaded, edited, ready to go by right now to drop on Monday. I took a little too much time off last week for personal, fun, relaxing things, which I fully embraced and fully enjoyed, but here we are. It is 10:50 in the morning. Griffin is still sleeping. So we're going to try and get this done. I'm really excited about this one because as I was typing up my notes, I kind of was like inspiring myself. And so we're going to stick to my outline, stick to the game plan, and you are going to leave this episode with a game plan for your next journal entry. There is no question, I don't think, around the effectiveness of journaling. And there's no end to the number of journal prompts that you could find. Right before this, I was actually Googling journal prompts. Like, what is a good journal prompt? There's millions out there, you guys. And so I had this idea to share with you my top 3 journal prompts, because that is something that I get asked frequently is like, what do you write about? Or how can I start writing? And so that was my thought. But then when I started to really sit down and sift through my favorites, I realized that they're my favorites because they helped me during my specific time or situation or feeling. And that's when I realized as well that journal prompts should be personal. And it's also about what you want to get out of your journal. Do you want to just write to write? Do you want to feel nostalgia? Do you want to process hard emotions? Do you want to question things that you've never even stopped to question or thought to question before? Do you want to understand yourself on a deeper level? That's a big one for me. Or maybe you just want to journal to express yourself in a new way. You guys know I use journaling to understand myself better. And it's the one place where I'm not, quote unquote, happy-go-lucky. My journal is where even if I am feeling happy and there's so many joyful things in my life, I try and tap into that one tiny feeling that might be lingering of lack or scarcity, hurt, pain, jealousy, whatever it is, anything, so that I can understand it better. And I can either choose to embrace that thing, that feeling, whatever it is, or I can move on from it. And so answering a prompt like, describe a place where you felt the happiest, definitely does have its time and place, but it just doesn't do much for me. If you felt excited when I read that, definitely jot that down for yourself. So that prompt was describe a place where you felt the happiest. And you can dig deeper into that too, to recreate those moments, even if where you felt happiest was a vacation in Iceland. While you might not be able to go to Iceland tomorrow, we can dig into what specifically was it about Iceland that brought you so much joy, and how can you experience that tomorrow? So that's how I would kind of dig deeper into that. But if you want to dig deeper into emotional things with me, then I'm going to walk you through my exact process of how I prompt myself through my journal entries so that by the end of the entry, I truly do feel a sense of clarity and inner peace and almost like closure. So here we go. Start off by writing out what's happening in your life. Just pick something specific. So it might be a feeling that, like, as soon as I said that, you're like, oh, I'm so anxious. Or maybe someone said something to you that really rubbed you the wrong way. Or maybe you had like a night, like, one of those like nightmares that you have, but you wake up and it feels so real. And then you're like upset at the person that was in the dream with you because they said something. Maybe that's just me, but like those oh so real nightmares that triggered something. Maybe that could be it. So anything that really triggers an emotion in you. So start by writing out that situation and just write whatever comes. You might feel like you want to keep explaining the situation, or you might just feel like you come to a dead end. And so if you haven't touched on it yet, then I want you to ask yourself how it makes you feel. Okay. Then what does your reaction, that feeling to this event, mean about you or your family based on whatever you're talking about? Or maybe what does it mean about your beliefs? What is the meaning behind that? Then, are those things true? Finally, if it weren't true, what would be the alternate reality or the alternate belief? So I'm going to walk you through a super, super basic example to show you what this would look like. And this is something so silly, but I like this example because it also shows that you can journal through anything, the deepest, darkest emotions. But also, this example is Megan told me that I drank too much coffee. Right? So imagine this is made up, by the way, but imagine somebody told me that. And I would write, Megan told me that I drank too much coffee today. It made me feel self-conscious that I drank too much caffeine and like I should cut back on how much I drink, even though I enjoy my cups of coffee. I used to feel like people who drank too much coffee were the people who were always like jittery and anxious and flighty. And if I'm being honest, I don't want to be any more anxious than I already am, any more flighty or jittery. But when I stop to question, are those things true? I'm actually not an anxious person. And I haven't noticed that I'm any more or less anxious when I have coffee. So that last step of, if it weren't true, what would the alternate reality or belief be? For me, drinking coffee isn't so bad. Megan doesn't see how much water I also drink during the day, and I'm happy with my caffeine consumption. So that's the example where the end result was me just embracing myself as I am. There are journal entries where I actually do want to change something. And so that last piece is like, maybe, I do find that I'm more anxious on the days where I drink coffee. I am going to respect Megan saying that to me because it brought awareness to my caffeine consumption. And I'm going to try and drink 1 cup a day and see how I feel. So journaling there's no right or wrong way to do it, but there's a super simple example for you. And one last example, if you are having a hard time identifying an emotion, if you're just kind of like floating through your days and there's nothing triggering, no event or person that, is triggering anything that you feel like you would write about, then this is a prompt that I really like to get you started. So the journal prompt is, what is something that you would like to change about yourself? So just sit in that moment. And just a quick side note, when I'm journaling, I sit and just think throughout each of those prompts. It doesn't come like a natural flow for me. I really sit and think. And then once I'm able to process it in my head, then I write it out. And then sometimes more and more comes out as I'm writing. But give yourself grace and time to absorb the feelings that come and process them and then write them out. It's definitely a process. So, what is something that you would like to change about yourself? And you could re-listen to the prompts that I just said of how to dig deeper. But these are the follow-up questions that I would ask myself if this was my journal entry. Why? Why do I feel like that is something that I need to change about myself? Does it need to be changed? Who or what makes me feel like it does need to be changed? What if I didn't change it? What actions could I then take towards either accepting that piece of who I am or changing that behavior, trait, characteristic, whatever it may be? I love this stuff, you guys. It's like you're learning, hopefully, to prompt yourself. And that's my goal through or for all of my private coaching clients is I don't just give them prompts. I teach them this process of, for any situation that comes your way, what are those follow-up questions, those digging deeper prompts that's where you get the clarity. It's not just that first sentence that gets you journaling. It's questioning those things. And if I had to give you one tip or prompt that brings me the most awareness, it's that one where I say, what if you didn't change? Or are those things true? That's the question where I really think, what if it was different? Is that actually right? Is that actually what I believe in? Is that actually something that I want to do? Is it actually who I am? And you can create this more objective view, which I believe creates space between these high emotions and the end results of, what it is that you might do next. Seeing something objectively, just for me, is like a breath of fresh air. It truly is. So to wrap up, first and foremost, understand what it is that you want to get out of journaling. And there is no right or wrong way. Journaling, no matter what the intention, is a beautiful thing. But knowing that intention will help you get started with what to start writing down. And then start off by writing down the situation of how you feel, what's going on, what you want to tap into, and then ask yourself those, however many it was, maybe 5 different prompts just to dig deeper, get to the core of that feeling, and then flip it and question, but is that true? And see what sort of closure, if any closure at all, comes to that. So you're essentially learning again to prompt yourself. It took me 2 years, over 2 years really, to get to this point. So give yourself grace. And if you feel like you do need a little bit more hand-holding and you want to work one-on-one with me to really dig into what you are experiencing and going through, I am opening up 4 private coaching spots starting in January. So I'm accepting applications now, and you can get that application at the link in the podcast show notes, or just go to www.samanthapenkoff.com/podcast, and you'll see it right there. Hopefully you got some insight, a game plan through this journal entry. And even though my journal isn't happy-go-lucky, like if you were to open it, you wouldn't be like, ooh, this girl is so happy all the time. But I end 99% of my journal entries feeling better and happier than when I started, just by going through this process. So I know that you can too. I hope that you are enjoying your journaling process and wherever it takes you. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's journal entry. I love connecting with my listeners, so make sure you screenshot this episode and tag me on Instagram at samantha.s.says so I know you're listening. And don't forget to grab your free training and journal prompts at www.samanthapenkoff.com/podcast.